At first, she was interested. You could feel it. The way she replied, the way she engaged, the way the conversation flowed without effort. There was energy, there was curiosity, there was something building, and you didn't have to force it. You didn't have to think too much. Everything felt natural, and that's why it felt real. But then, something changed. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly, almost in a way that was hard to notice at first. Her replies became shorter, less frequent, less engaged. The energy started to fade, and you felt it. That subtle shift, that small difference that tells you something is no longer the same. And in that moment, most people make the same mistake. They try to fix it. They try to bring back what was there. So they start doing more messages, more effort, more attention, more presence, thinking that if they give more, they will restore the connection. But that's not what happens. Because the problem was never a lack of effort. It was a change in dynamic. And the more you try to fix it with effort, the worse it becomes. Because now, you are not responding to attraction. You are reacting to fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of the connection fading. Fear of not being enough. And fear changes your behavior. You start overthinking, over-texting, over-explaining, trying to maintain something that is already slipping. And that pressure is what pushes her away even more. Because attraction does not grow under pressure. It collapses, quietly, without confrontation, without explanation. And that's why it feels confusing. Because there is no clear moment where it ends. It just fades, and you are left wondering what went wrong. But the truth is, it didn't happen in one moment. It happened in a pattern of small shifts, small behaviors, small changes in energy that slowly changed how she felt. Because attraction is not logical, it's emotional. It's based on feeling, and feelings don't respond to effort. They respond to experience, to tension, to contrast, to space. And when those elements disappear, so does attraction. So what actually caused her to lose interest? It wasn't one message. It wasn't one mistake. It was the accumulation of too much availability, too much attention, too much predictability, too much presence, without pause, without space, without uncertainty. Because when everything is predictable, there is nothing left to discover. And when there is nothing left to discover, interest fades. So the real problem is not that you did something wrong. It's that you removed the conditions that create attraction without realizing it. And once those conditions are gone, the dynamic changes. She stops chasing, stops investing, stops engaging the same way. Not because she decided to, but because she feels differently. And feelings drive behavior. So when you notice she is pulling away, the worst thing you can do is chase harder. Because chasing is a reaction. And reactions come from need. And need is felt. Even when you don't say it. Even when you try to hide it. It shows in your actions, in your timing, in your tone, in your energy. And that energy is what pushes her further away. But here is where everything can change. The moment you stop reacting is the moment the dynamic can reset. Not instantly, not magically, but gradually. Because when you stop chasing, you remove the pressure, you remove the constant presence, you remove the predictability, and you reintroduce something that was missing, space. And space is what allows attraction to exist. Because in space, there is room to think, room to feel, room to notice. And when there is space, your absence becomes visible. And absence creates awareness. It creates curiosity. It creates thought. And that thought is what can bring attention back. But this only works if the connection had value before, if there was real interest, if there was something genuine. Because you can't recreate attraction from nothing. You can only restore it if the foundation is still there. And that's why stopping the chase is powerful. Not because it manipulates someone, but because it restores balance. It removes excess. It allows the dynamic to breathe again. And when the dynamic breathes, things can change. She might reach out. She might show interest again. She might start engaging differently. Not because you forced it, but because the conditions changed. And that's the key. Attraction is not about effort. It's about environment. The emotional environment you create. And when that environment is right, attraction happens naturally. Without force, without pressure, without chasing. So if she lost interest, don't look for a single mistake. Look at the pattern. Look at the dynamic. Look at how your attention, your presence, your behavior changed over time. Because that's where the answer is. And that's where the solution begins. Not by doing more, but by removing what is no longer needed and allowing attraction to exist again.